Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. I've got Jerry, Papa Shrimp. I always am afraid to say Papa Shrimp in public. I always freeze up. I always think I'm going to say Papa Smurf. Papa Shrimp. I always am afraid. Uh-oh. Do you get me?
It's gone.
Oh, cool.
It was me.
Well, Rico is sick tonight. I asked Lefty if he'd come up just to help me with the chats and stuff, because I kind of forget to read stuff, and I should bring up the chat right now. Just there we go.
I have the same problem.
Oh my gosh, I'm so terrible about it. I get so focused, and I've been wanting to. Now, do you prefer? Oh, you got Jerry on the thing too.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know if you'd prefer me to call you Papa Shrimp or not.
It really doesn't matter. I mean, I got the logo here, so everybody knows, I think.
Yep, that's awesome. Well, I've been wanting to ask you and quiz you for a while, and then I thought, you know what? Why don't we just do this on a live stream, and maybe we could try to get your store some advertising too if we do this.
Awesome.
And I was hoping Rico would be here so he could pop your store up.
Right.
But I am so untech savvy. But if Lefty comes up, we'll ask him to pop it up for us.
Matt has the link.
Oh, awesome. And you know what? And I'm going to do this so it's a little shrimpy behind us.
There you go.
Okay.
And the cat, Nico.
Yeah, and as soon as I started talking, he took off. I thought it for a minute there was just going to be me and Nico, and I was going to be, well, let's wing it and hope he shows up. Thank you for doing that. But so I want to try to get into the shrimp challenge or the shrimp competitions.
Right.
And I mean, I don't want to be like, I also want to do the IFGA and do shrimp or the guppy competitions, but I don't want to get into it super hardcore like a lot of these guys do. That just do like, they spend all their time with one or two lines.
Right.
And is it possible to just go and have fun with shrimp?
Yes, very possible, especially the way that the American shrimp contest is at all the Aquashellas. It's pretty much open for everybody to come have fun. I mean, that's why all of the judges don't compete like Joe, Eric, me, and Grant. We were not, allowed to compete because we wanted to give everybody else a chance, to come have some fun with it, not take it so seriously and be like, oh no, I don't want to put my shrimp up against Joe's or Eric's or, Grant's or any of that. So yeah, man, I mean, that's really what we're trying to do is get people like you getting more involved with it and not feeling so, you don't have to have perfect shrimp. I mean, it's not like if it's a major competition that you're winning plaques and giant contracts. So bring your shrimp, man, and have some fun and see. You never know, like Jess did, and she got second place. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was just one of those things. She wanted to try it and she got second place.
What'd she bring?
I think it was some orange Sunkissed Neos.
Okay. Oops, now Nico just jumped up. He heard Neos and thought it was his name. Well, so is orange Sunkissed Neo, is that like a orange?
Yeah, basically.
So that was the one shrimp that I have that looks decent. Like the shrimp behind us, in the photo, that's one of them. And it's a giant female. She doesn't have eggs at the moment, but she's like huge. And I've got like 4 mega mamas and then a bunch of normals.
Right.
But if you would just look at her, I mean, does she get like major points off because she has like white spots on her legs and her face, or
not necessarily? Because as the shrimp get older like that and they become huge shrimp, they start to form that backline. Some of them, they're breeding them intentionally to get that backline, like the yellow backlines and stuff like that. But usually the shrimp that are going to be the size that will go in a competition will probably start showing coloration of that backline. It's nothing wrong what you're looking for is to get a consistent pattern between all of your shrimp and get as much coloration that's going to the legs. Like on the top of the shrimp that's behind us above my head, you can see one leg is red, the others are clear.
Yeah, maybe I can drop my face out and you'll, or wait, maybe, I don't know if I can make us
put us on the side or so. Oh, I don't.
You see, it's the wallpaper is the problem.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's see if I can do this. Nope, that didn't work. Let's see if I just oh well.
It was worth a shot. But yeah, you could see it right there on the top. You want all of those legs to be colored up for your best chance to get into the first place, because those are some of the things that we're looking for. The main thing is just like I said, consistency in the pattern from shrimp to shrimp.
Okay.
So if you have some that are kind of red, but you have 5 of them that are kind of red and they all look identical, that's a good batch.
Okay, cool. Well, now I was asking Joe about his snowballs.
Right.
Because I was thinking about putting snowballs in this tank over here. It's my cave tank, and I just thought it'd be kind of cool because it's got weird lights just to see the crawling all over the place. You know, and he said that he's never seen snowballs in a competition. Is that a stupid idea?
I wouldn't say it's a stupid idea, but it's hard to judge because of just their natural, they look that way naturally. So there's nothing really to go off of showing your breeding skills and, you know, select.
Oh, so that could work for me. Just teasing.
You know, that's the main thing is that is you want something that has patterns or colors or something that shows that you're breeding, you know, lines of shrimp down to get this color versus, you know, anybody can buy snowballs and put them in a tank.
Yeah.
And say, yeah, they're competition shrimp.
Gotcha. Well, that was my idea. Was I was just going to put the shrimp in a tank and let them grow and have babies.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now, and how does the rules work? Like, you can't submit ones, or you're not supposed to ethically, at least in the guppy world, you're not supposed to buy guppies and then submit them. You have to do the offspring or the second generation.
Yes, that's preferably, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that breeding portion of it. And, you know, who's to say if people do buy expensive shrimp and put them in the competition? I think that's kind of silly because there is no cash reward for doing that, you know?
Yeah.
So I wish there was more that we could do to document, to show F1, F2, and stuff like that. And I think even including some of the fry that have the exact same patterns as the mom and dad, that shows, you know, that you have consistency in your line breeding. But we don't allow anything smaller than 3/4 of an inch. So,
oh, that was going to be my next question. Okay, so it's got to be over 3/4 of an inch. And why doesn't people just bring in the big monsters? Like the really big ones?
Well, you get really big ones with Neos, not so much with the Caridina. So, yeah, the Caridina don't get quite as big as the Neos do, but they will get to 3/4 of an inch. So that's what we go with, you know. And like I said, I'm still learning because this was my first one to actually be a judge in Dallas. And I learned a lot from Eric and Joe and what to look for. And I asked a lot of questions to make sure that I wasn't just like, ooh, it's pretty, it's blue, it gets 10 points, you know.
Yeah.
Because I love blue. So, you know, I had to ask a lot of questions. And the judging sheet is really, I think it's pretty good for what it counts everything. And it even gives us a place as judges to put in our a kind of subjective opinion on what we think are our favorites. So I like that it adds that too, because
that is cool.
Yeah, because it gives it a little bit of leeway that it's not just on these strict rules that we go by.
Very cool. Well, okay, Neos versus Caradinas, or Neo Caradina versus Caradina. What are the two short terms for those? Neos and Caradina, or?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Well, I had Caradinas for about a year and a half. And then I don't know what I did, but I just killed them all instantly, it seemed like.
Instantly?
Well, they all disappeared and died fast. It was when I was moving from one fish room to the other. And they used to just be in my basement, just sitting there, and they were doing really good. They were Bumblebee, I think they're called.
Right.
I got them from Jen Wilson, and they were doing real well. And then I moved them. Oh, we got Lefty here. Let me bring Lefty up. Oh, and he's got the awesome winter scene behind him.
Hey, Lefty.
Awesome.
Hey.
Nice to meet you in person.
Nice to meet you too.
In stream, son.
Well, and Lefty, if you ever have any questions or anything, you just shout them out, just like we normally
Sounds
do.
good.
Awesome. Okay, so I moved the Caradinas into the other fish room, and they just didn't make it. And I don't know if my pH went real high on them or what.
When you moved the tank, how did you move it?
I picked it up and I shook it. Would that do a lot of damage to them? Because I did. I was trying not to, but every single one got pretty messed up.
Yeah, and that's the downside, is that you don't want to disturb your substrate if you can avoid it, because all of the stuff that's collected in the substrate and being devoured by bacteria and all that stuff, it comes out of the substrate, and then you get a huge ammonia spike. And especially Bumblebee, they're pretty sensitive to that.
That's awesome.
The best way to do that, if you're going to do it ever again, the best way to do it is take them out and put them in a breeder box, and then move your tank and let it sit for probably 2 days. You could probably go about 2 days, and then get the shrimp back in there, but let it settle first, because that commotion, that's why I try to avoid any kind of root plants in my shrimp tanks that are Caradinas, because if you pull those plants out, it pulls all that stuff up in the substrate as well.
Oh, wow. What I also had snowballs, and they didn't make it.
Yeah,
that was the 2 lines that I wiped out.
Yeah, it scares me, but if I was going to do something like that, what I would do is I'd take the shrimp out, I'd take the tank, wash it out, the substrate and everything, wash it out as good as possible, and leave a little bit of water, put it back up where you're putting it, do a sponge squeeze, and let it sit for 24 hours, and then put the shrimp back in. You should be okay that way. But if you just do it with all of that moam, it's too much for the shrimp. It stresses them out.
Gotcha. Now, do you keep any other fish with your shrimp, or do you just leave them alone?
It depends. I use a lot of my guppy fry to go clean up a tank sometimes. So, because I know they're too small to eat even baby shrimp, but they'll go around and they'll attack any little vorticellia, any seed shrimp, stuff. It's a small seed shrimp. They won't get the big ones. But, I use them a lot like that, just to give them a place to kind of grow up if I don't have an available tank.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I keep shrimp in all my guppy tanks. And I do it because I want the shrimplets to be an extra source of food. I know that sounds terrible probably to you, but my shrimp are cleaners and feeders. Kind of, they're just, that's their job. And like, I've got one tank, it's a 125, and I probably have 200 mollies and swordtails in it, but I probably have 1,000 just red shrimp.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Cherry shrimp are perfect for that, because they'll still multiply, and they'll survive, but a few of the fry are going to get eaten and stuff like that. And that's great for the fish. And there's nothing wrong with it. You're still going to get a nice colony out of it. those shrimp are pretty slick and hiding.
Awesome. Well, okay. How do you recommend breeding your shrimp? Do you like? Well, let's go with substrate first.
The substrates, it's always an active substrate, and I've gone through whether it's using Fluval, using Brightwell, or using the UN soil that we use at the shrimp contests. I haven't tried ADA Amazonia yet, but I kind of want to. I just know that I'm going to have to go through a pretty extensive cycling process with just to make sure there's no ammonia, because it releases a lot of ammonia. But for my high-end quality shrimps that I have special breeding projects, yeah, I'm probably going to go with the ADA.
Now, what does that do for them? Or is that a loaded question? Because like I've got a bag of it sitting in my fish room, and I look at it and it's like, well, I don't want to put that expensive bag in something when I've got all this sand that works so much better for what I'm doing.
Right. And if you've ever looked at breeding videos, you'll notice that a lot of times they use a underground filter and they partition off the tank and they make a little section of it that has the deep substrate on that under gravel filter, and then maybe just a few pebbles on the glass.
Oh, wow.
Because they don't want all of that detritus buildup. They actually want the shrimp to be able to find the detritus and eat it versus it just decaying in the tank. So a lot of my tanks, even with my Caradinas, I'll put a little bit of the substrate in there, and then I'll put sand, whether it's black sand or pool sand, just so I can have something to look at and tell the colors of the shrimp better. But there's nothing wrong with mixing your substrates. You just got to have that active substrate in there to help keep the pH down where you want it. Because if not, you're fighting it all the time, and that's not good for the shrimp.
Gotcha. Well, I've got 2 tanks that I have some really nice green jades and some really dark blue dreams in. And there is gunk all over the bottom of the tank because I have all this water lettuce floating above.
Right.
And it's like water lettuce kind of sheds or something. Well, I've wanted to clean it out, but I'm afraid of sucking out all the shrimplets. What do you recommend? I've just been leaving it there because I didn't know what to do. So it's kind of looking gross.
Honestly, if I have to get down on the substrate level and get stuff out, I will use just a regular Python hose, but I'll use one of those stainless steel screens, the pre-filters. I'll use one of those. The problem is that if you have big debris, it's not going to go through there.
Yeah.
But it's also not going to take up your shrimp. Now, if it's just a spot, a certain corner of the tank or something, then I use an airline tubing and get it down there and get it real close and use that as my gravel vac. And it's a pain in the butt. I'll tell you, it's a pain in the butt. But if you're that, if you're really trying to take care of your tank, it's worth it. I've spent hours doing that. So
I've done it once and I was like, gosh, I wonder how many I killed. So that's why I've been afraid to do it since. So I'm like, I probably have 6 months of these leaves and stuff, all over the bottom.
Right.
But I have like big rocks in there and I drop the little bits of food on the rocks and then they all run on the rocks and eat it. And I really like how they look like Tarzan because they climb on all those
on the vines,
on the root. Yeah. On the roots up and down, and the roots are so small you can see the shrimp that way.
I mean, I have my setups that I have now, and that's where I'm at right now. I'm looking at them and I'm not using them the way I intended to when I set them up. So I'm kind of thinking, tear it down and do just like I said. I did it with a couple of tanks back here, but I'm probably going to take them out, wash them out with the gravel, wash the gravel out. I'm going to lose some, but whatever I do, I'm going to take out as much of the gravel as I can and then reset it. Awesome. The difference is it won't take, 2 months to cycle because I have all my other tanks. I have all my other sponges. I can sponge squeeze, but I'm I'm still kind of scared to do that. So I usually, when I reset a tank, I'll let it sit for a week before I start adding shrimp. And then I might add one or two and then see how they do. And if they do fine, it's all about the molts. That's what I look for. If I see a clean, healthy molt, then I know that's good.
Oh, okay.
If it's a fuzzy molt, then there's water quality issues.
I thought a fuzzy molt was a dead one. I thought that was just a dead shrimp.
Well, yeah. I mean, they look like it after the shrimp eat on it.
Oh,
but
okay.
when the molt first comes off, if you got a molt that looks like just a dead shrimp that's clear and has nothing in it, that's a really good molt because it came off smooth. It broke on the back like they intended it to, and they popped out and left a shell of a shrimp.
Lefty, do you have any shrimp?
I am one of the worst shrimp keepers ever, unless it's Amanos or bamboo shrimp. I cannot keep the Caradinas or Neocaradinas alive at all.
Now, how does that work for competitions? What if somebody brought in some bamboo shrimp?
They wouldn't get judged because they're not in a category. We don't have a category for those. Gotcha. Not yet, anyways. I mean, maybe someday, but I don't think there's much to judge on a bamboo shrimp from shrimp to shrimp to shrimp to shrimp. They look almost exactly the same.
Yep.
Okay, well, that makes sense. They're just all a bunch of clones.
Aquaballs does have a question, Ed, from chat.
Oh, awesome.
I would say, does planaria hurt the shrimp?
Yes.
Okay.
And it does it in two ways. They sting whatever it is, whether it's a snail or a shrimp, they sting it. The problem is with the planaria, because they are a type of flatworm, is they can get inside the shell and live inside of there. And then they'll basically, eat the shrimp from the inside out.
Oh.
What do you do to get rid of your planaria?
I've done several different things. What works really well is Panicure C because it gets rid of Hydra, it gets rid of planaria, but it also messes with your beneficial bacteria. And I've used no planaria. It's not as fast acting, but from everything that I've seen when I've used it, it works just as well.
Have you ever used General Cure?
Not for planaria or worms or any of that nature. I haven't tried it.
I've used it for my guppy tanks, and it wipes out the planaria. But I was afraid of it. The snails aren't affected, but I didn't know what it was doing maybe to some of the shrimp. Right. And for some reason, my Moscows fell. Like I did both Moscow tanks. I have reds and blue Moscows, and I killed all the adults by dosing them.
Wow.
General Cure. And that was like really strange, I thought. So
I just encountered some planaria probably 3 weeks ago in my tanks. And all I did was add a scoop of no planaria in each of the tanks. And I turned off the lights for 48 hours. And then everything was pretty much cleaned up.
Well, I'm going to have to try that. Where do you recommend buying that?
It was kind of hard to find. I don't know how it is now, but I ended up finding it on Amazon.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and let me see. I think I got my pack right here. I think. I thought I did.
And if anybody has any questions, if you could highlight them to Lefty, then he'll see them better. I'm not in the normal chat, so I can't see anything. Or like I just see the normal black stuff.
It's okay, Ed. I got you.
Thanks, man. You're awesome.
No, I like it. Good questions.
Curly Kitty said, "Do Neocaradinas need tannins in the water?"
Not necessarily, but it won't hurt them. What they do need is calcium. So a lot of people will use eggshells. Some people use crushed corals. I believe that if you use the right, if you use the right Rapashi, it has a lot of calcium in it, and the shrimp love it. Everything loves rapashi if you really look at it.
Well, let's go into that. What do you feed your shrimp?
On my shrimp, I go through Bacter AE. I use Shrimp Baby. Bacter AE and Shrimp Baby are for all my fry tanks, all my breeding tanks. I use a very, very small amount of the Bacter AE. My little cup is, my little spoon. I don't use the one that they gave me. I use this little bitty spoon, and I might use about an eighth of it for my tanks. I don't go crazy with it. I learned a long time ago, a little bit goes a long way. So this thing has lasted me about 1.5 years.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. What?
Yeah.
I've tried the Shrimp King, North Fin, and Extreme, and I like the Extreme the most for the price, and I think I like the bigger size pellet for them because I can see it drop easier and I can see them eat it easier.
Right.
But have you ever seen Mark Shrimps?
Yeah, I was watching him this morning.
Oh, awesome. Well, he has a food that he drops. It looks like popcorn. He drops it, and it's like it pops open like whiteness.
That's the snow pop stuff.
Snow pops. Okay, is that good or is it just cool?
Yeah, that's really good. And then also the Mineral Baby. It's another one. I use a lot of Glass Garden, but the Mineral Junkie Pearls, that's good for them. It's good for their molts. It's good for their shells and everything like that. So I'm assuming it has some good. I can't read all of the ingredients. They're in German. Okay. But I'm assuming that it has some good calcium in there.
Well, the Europeans are doing something good over there. So
yeah, and it's one of those things because there was a time where when I'd feed my Shrimp King, it didn't seem like they liked it. So I'd feed them shrimp dinner from Glass Garden, and they seemed to like that. But then they'd go through a phase where they didn't really like the shrimp dinner, but they liked the 5-leaf mix of Shrimp King. So then I started learning after more and more experimentation. And then especially when I was working with Rob up at Flip Aquatics, it's every day it's something different. So you go through the 5-in-1 pack that you get from Shrimp King, and one day it's complete, the next day it's baby, the next day it's snowflake, 5-leaf mix, color enhancer, and he was on a schedule the way he fed them and what he fed them. But any tank that had fry, all of them got Bacter AE and Shrimp Baby.
Gotcha. That's really cool. I gave up writing the stuff down. I'm just gonna rewatch it and write it. I was gonna try to write notes, but hey, this is forever.
Right.
And then I get a view. But well, that's super cool. Okay, what about everybody gives me a hard time when I say chula wood.
Chola wood.
Chola wood.
Yes.
They seem to eat that too.
Yes.
I had this big, giant, awesome piece, and I think that's when I was feeding them the Shrimp King and the North Fin, and they just like to eat the chola wood instead. And it's like now it's down to about a nub. It's a long piece.
Well, it will naturally degrade anyways. That's why a lot of the shrimpers are, that breed a lot, stay away from chola wood because it tends to make a mess after 6 months, a year, or whatever. Then you got to take the substrate out because it's nothing left but mush from that piece of cholla wood. Cholla wood is the correct way, but you say chola.
Well, I gave up on that tank and turned it into a guppy tank. And I figure it had blue Rayleighs in it. Okay, that's right. Another word. Is it Rayleigh or Riley?
Really?
So
it's the easiest way, because I think it should be really. Honestly, that's just the way it seems, but I've heard people say Riley. And so I just stick with really. And so people will say, "Hey, I got some really shrimp." Really? Put them.
What? That's what I really want in this tank. I want the yellowy, orange, and white ones.
Right.
For my big fluval. Actually, this is the flugel, the big one. And I want to just have a bajillion of them in there eventually someday so I could just sell them back to the pet stores for fish food. You know, and I figure Tennessee colors would be the best for this area. They're really into their college football here.
Oh yeah.
So they don't understand my love affair for the Chiefs, but I have to explain it.
I see here how Finn Wiggles said all you really have to do is gravel vac every now and then. And that's very true when you have a gravel tank. You know, it works really good. The problem with the active substrates is that those little pellets are so light that when you start sticking your gravel vac in there, it's going to take all of that with it. So you got to find the right way. Now, I saw Mark's shrimp tank does it, but he uses a smaller diameter hose so he can get down under the substrate and just pull out the detritus.
Oh, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I learned a lot from Mark Shrimp Tanks. I love the guy. I love what he does and the way he does his shrimp. And he's got, it's just such a laid back learning experience watching him.
Well, I'll be honest. I used to watch him all the time, but then he got really upset about Aquashella. And he said that we were racist for not allowing Europeans to be in the competition. And I'm thinking, America almost allows everybody to do everything around the world. And the Europeans have only European deals all over. So why can't we have one thing that's just us?
I think if just, I don't know the situation, but I think if I had to put it together, it's kind of a step down for him to come to the American Shrimp Contest, and then he's going to win everything. You know,
well, but the Asians will come and they'll really kick butt because they're awesome too.
And then for what? For a plaque, and maybe if he gets fan favorite, $250 cash. So I think that's why Joe is working on bringing one of the international shrimp contests to Chicago, so that way we can bring some of the European breeders and get them over here and compete for something a little bit bigger than just, a plaque or, I don't know how they're going to set it up. But since Joe runs the international shrimp contest overseas, he's trying to put together some stuff and get sponsorships so that we can attract some of the master breeders from overseas and do a big shrimp contest where we have 100, 150 tanks full of shrimp versus 20 or 30.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions. Was, I used to go to the Aquatic Experience and see the international, and it was awesome. And I'm not saying there shouldn't be international, but I was going to ask where they do the international competitions here in America. But it sounds like they don't do them at all right now.
I don't think they do. And if they did, it would be at Chicago.
Okay, well, then I was talking to Joe about that, and I was saying how much I liked how Aquashella was just American, so we have a chance, And well,
true point.
I mean, when I went to New York, there was probably 45 trophies, and I think America still got 5, maybe, but still, and those are like awesome people like you. So I just thought it was cool that Aquashella does a schmuck thing, So,
I'm not awesome.
Oh, please. You know a lot more than I do.
That's the other thing, too, is that I think a lot of it with the international competitions and stuff like that, it's just, they're kind of like a step above. To be honest, the stuff that we see here in America, in the States, that's their culls. That's their throwaway shrimp that they're going, that's junk. And you look at it and you're going, oh my God, I'll pay $200 for that shrimp. And they're going, this is trash. And they throw them away by the thousands. Well, not actually throw them away. They just put them in bags and ship them to us and say, hey, good luck.
Yeah, well, let me grab this one thing real quick. Say something cool, Lefty.
Okay, I'll just ask a question then.
Okay.
Sarah asked, how long do you drip acclimate shrimp from bring them home or have them shipped in?
That's a good question, and it's more of a matter of temperature for me. So I like to, when I get a bag of shrimp, and I used to do it the other way. I used to let the bag sit there and get room acclimated, room temp. So especially in breather bags.
Mhm.
But more and more lately, I get them out of the bag as quick as possible to get them out of that stale water and put them in a box. And then I'll leave that breeder box sitting there, or the container cup, and I'll leave it sitting there for a little while to get it up to about temperature, about an hour. And then I'll start dripping in water real slow. And usually maybe 2 hours at most is about what I'll drip. Sometimes I'm brave and I'll just plop and drop, but not very often. Not with my expensive shrimp.
Okay.
Well, this was a card I got from one of the Asian people. They have their information on the side of the net. And I love this net. I use this net to fish out my inlers that get stuck behind the filter.
Mhm.
But I mean, this way I could call them and order their shrimp. It was Misha Crystal Shrimp, or Muchaa. Misha? I don't know. But that's how serious they are. They're handing out these, shrimp nets as cards. That is so cool.
What I'm hoping that will eventually happen, because I see Chubby Guppy says that Mark doesn't believe in shows much. He finds it cruel on the livestock, and that's a good point. And maybe especially some of the stuff I've heard about what happens in the international contests, and shrimp getting stolen, they auction them off, and blah blah blah. That's a whole different ballpark. But what I'd love to see is that not only we have a competition, but we also take some of the guys like Mark or some of the big breeders and give them several tanks to do a display tank. How would you set it up with your favorite shrimp and have just a display, and then have, a little competition on the best display, something like that. And then maybe also have something that's set up more for the kids, to have a little kids competition, or maybe just a hobbyist competition. Not really a competition, but just giving people more opportunity to share their shrimp and put them up on display at a big show like Aquashella. I think that'd be really cool. It's just, I think the logistics right now especially are just, how are we going to control and manage all that?
Yeah.
Ed, you got a super sticker.
Oh, Chubby
You got a
Guppy.
hippo, got a thumbs up from Chubby Guppy.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chubby Guppy. You know what? I've been trying to think of something special to do when I get a super chat of some sort. And do you guys mind if I just destroy something and see if this works?
Sure.
This is a super mini video, a fish room tour. This is what I was going to do for the first super chat. That's all you get.
That's cool.
Nice.
I like it.
People keep asking me for a shrimp room tour. So, not a shrimp room, a fish room. But my plans are to get the shrimp out of the fish room, because I keep it pretty hot in there too. I keep it 77. So I'd like to get them out. That's why I was going to put them in here, because this room doesn't even have heat or air. So it's just, it's like a corner of the basement. So.
Well, honestly, really the only thing you're going to have issues with when you have higher temperatures, is that your shrimp are going to not live as long. And if I'm correct from what I've heard, temperature plays a little part in your water chemistry. So I think that's where the warmer waters tend to spoil maybe a little bit quicker, or the ammonia spikes in a warmer temperature tank may be more detrimental to the shrimp. Whereas if you keep it between 68 and 72, you're not going to have those swings as much, because you always get parameter swings just through the cycle of the day with lights on and lights off. So you would figure you'd have the same issue with temperature.
Awesome.
You got another super sticker, Ed.
Oh no.
Curly
Well,
kitty.
no, that's a good
Curly
thing, but I
kitty
don't have
going,
another cool
bravo.
video. Oh. Thank you so much. That's one of my favorites. I love that cat, even though it's a Mishu Bishu. Is that what you guys say? It's some type of a Japanese fox. But here, you guys get to see Nico. There.
All right, we had another question from Glitch Aquatics. They said, I use calcium carbonate powder in my shrimp water. Is that good?
I don't think it's bad, but I've never tried it, so I couldn't really tell you. And that's one of the things that hopefully everybody will learn about me, is that I normally will not jump on board with this works and that doesn't work unless I've done it myself. So a lot of my mistakes has led to my knowledge, if that makes any sense. And the mistake I do not want to make is to say something that's untrue just because I heard it somewhere. I'd rather find out for myself, before I go and say, yes, I believe in this. I try not to share parameters too much, because the last thing I want is for people to go chasing parameters. How are you going to keep it shrimpable if you're chasing parameters?
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of those things. But yes, there's recommended parameters, there's recommended temperature ranges and pHs and all that stuff. So you kind of go with it. Active substrate for Caradinas, and doesn't really matter for Neos, and keep your temperatures like you would any other time. You don't need a heater unless you're in subarctic weather and it's 30 degrees outside,
Okay. Well, I want to go back to Neos versus Caradinas. Okay. The Caradinas are pretty, right? They got some neat features like the stripes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they really seem like a pain in the butt.
They're not. They really aren't. It's something that I learned, because at the beginning, when I first started doing this in 2018, and I started keeping shrimp and my colonies were growing, I remember going to my first Aquashella in 2019, and I had 4 subs at that time. 2 of them were my sons. Another one was my other account. So I had 4 subs. And I remember talking to him, and I think it was Joseph that asked me from JH Aquatics.
Yeah, I
he
miss
had asked
Joseph.
me,
He's awesome.
he says, do you keep any Caradinas? He was wearing his Caradina University shirt. And I said, no, just Neos. And he was like, why? And I was like, because Caradinas are so much harder. And he was like, no, they're not. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try Caradinas. And then I really realized that Caradinas are kind of easier than Neos.
Well, you see, the reason why I think Neos are easier is because they fit in alignment with all my guppies. I like hard water, and I don't know, that's probably the main thing. Because, I add coral to all my tanks for my guppies. I want them to have all the calcium they can eat, and I like them for eating all the stuff, because I overfeed my guppies so they don't eat their fry. And I want the shrimp to outbeat the snails, but it just never seems to happen. I have millions of snails. That's the main reason why I don't do a tank by tank walkthrough, because people see how many snails I have. I really need to get a puffer just to feed the snails. But I love the shrimp. They're just such good workers.
No, I get it. And that, like I said, once I realized it's really kind of easy with the Caradinas, because, again, me doing things ass backwards, was that all of my guppy tanks had fluval stratum in them anyways, mainly because I wanted it for the beneficial plant, the rooting in the plants, all of the minerals that are there in the fluval stratum for the plants. and I didn't really give it a second thought that I was putting guppies in, lower pH water that's good. And I put my Neos in there too, and I didn't have any issues. But then I realized
that's awesome.
I don't have to spend the money. I could just go get, pool filter sand and fill up my tanks for my guppies. So I started doing that. And then when I was like, I only have a bag, I can only do one tank, but I got 2 tanks. Ding, I'll use half fluval and half pool filter sand. And then I got 2 tanks set up.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's those little things that I've kind of just learned by mistake. Again, I make mistakes and then I go with it, but it gives me the confidence to be able to tell somebody, don't be scared to try it. It's not like everybody says. It's not going to, you may not have a colony of 1,000 breeding, but your shrimp will survive, your fish will survive. You just got to have good water.
Well, so like, let's say I put a bunch of Neos in here, can I get like some pretty Caridina to throw into it with it? Or would they just not breed as well?
It really depends. It really does. I mean, there's certain Caridinas like the tigers, the orange-eye blue tigers. You could probably get away with those in Neo parameters. In fact, a lot of the places that sell shrimp have orange-eye blue tigers in Neo parameters and orange-eye blue tigers in Caridina parameters. The same thing for the Babalti shrimp. They'll keep them in both different parameters, so that way you could buy either or.
Well, I love that. Because I'd like to have more than one thing in there. So I'm going to try to do that. Now, do you sell those type of shrimp on your channel? I mean, on your store?
I do have orange-eye blue tigers that I have. Yes.
Lefty, would
because
you be
I
able
love
to
blue.
pull up his store? I don't know if you know how or where it is.
I can try and find it real quick. I think Diego might have just posted it a few minutes ago. Let me see.
Because I'd love to be able to walk through some of his awesome shrimp. We were there. It was so bizarre. We were talking about you and Joe before your and Joe's show earlier this week.
Right.
And we had your website up in like the afternoon talking about, buying your shrimp. It was like so bizarre. So,
that's cool.
Yeah. But it just, Papa Shrimp has some great shrimp guys. And maybe we can have him tell us a little bit about a couple of them.
Okay.
And while he's doing that, Big City Betta, Amber's here.
Hi, Amber.
Hey, Amber. We got a whole bunch of awesome people here. I was just going to start reading them off, and there's just too many, and I'll miss somebody. But thank you, everybody, for coming. You guys are awesome. But it's good to hear from Amber. I haven't heard from her for a little while, so I was worried about her.
Hey, Sandy, just send me well, you already did. If Sandy's here, I think. Sandy Farrell.
Oh, awesome. Sandy's cool, too. Well, everybody's cool.
I'll send you some more, Sandy.
When you ship, how do you ship? Do you do breather bags, or do you... What's your favorite method of shipping shrimp?
For me right now, I'm using double bag system of just regular bags.
Okay.
I can't afford to do the breather bags at this point, and maybe I can't afford to do the double bag system either. It just depends. I'm using this week with all of the first shipments that I sent out to kind of gauge how that works. Now, unfortunately, USPS and UPS kind of made it difficult for me to do a real test because shipping is crazy stupid right now. So they're not getting there when they're supposed to. And even if I pay for overnight, which is like $200, even if I pay for overnight, they're telling me 2 or 3 days before it gets there. So I'm not going to pay that money for something silly. But I'm really using this week to find out what's going to work out best for me. But I'm pretty confident, and I've received plenty of shrimp that come in regular bags, double bagged. and I have no issues. So I'm hoping everything works out. I could tell Sandy had a couple of I think she said she had two dead. Well, one dead and one that was half eaten. So
Oh gosh. Well, but I mean that's going all the way to New York.
yeah.
So that's a long trip from Texas to New York.
Yeah, so and like I said, I'm probably gonna make some mistakes, especially the first week. I probably made some mistakes. You know, please don't get all crazy on me. I'm learning, and I'll improve it, and get it better and better. The main thing is I want to make sure that if somebody doesn't get a shrimp, if they're dead or something, let me know. I'll replace them. It's not a problem.
Now
it helps me practice, anyways.
What if you throw an extra one or two in?
Well, yeah, and that's where I need to get to where that I have enough to do so. So a lot of them, and that's kind of why I had to supplement my colonies, because I can breed and breed, but it takes a long time, to build a good colony and to have enough to where if I sell 50, am I still going to have a colony left?
Yeah.
So
that's what I've always been worried about with
you gotta troll.
Oh gosh, I've never had a troll before.
Congratulations, Ed, first troll.
Yeah, pretty neat.
I have the store pulled up too, Ed, if you wanted me to pull that up so people could, if you wanted to go. There you go.
There we go. And
thanks, Amber.
I'll zoom in.
And you guys
click on the
while I do deal with this.
If you click on the text, it'll give the actual product description, or I haven't filled it all in, but it'll give you the bigger picture that you can zoom in on. And that right there, if you see all of the little white balls, that's the Purigen that Joe was talking about last week. That I'm starting to see that in a lot of the shrimp packaging, that people are using the Purigen to help control any of the ammonia spikes or anything from the detritus.
Yeah, I think I've gotten a couple fish packages with those in it too lately.
At first, when I first saw it, I was like, what the heck is all this crap? Styrofoam?
That's what I thought too. It's like, why is there styrofoam in my fish bag?
And just so you know, and it should show when you go back to the main page, I'm doing a special on the red shrimp, the red and white shrimp. So the
crystals,
the super red crystals are 50% off because it's Christmas time, so red and white. And same thing with the Galaxy fish bones. I got them half off.
I'm gonna beef up my mods here. See if anybody
These
wants.
Guys look cool.
The mod, they can't.
Those are homebred, except for like these that I got here. I put them in the same tank with all my other homebred ones because I'm trying to bulk up that colony. But my super or extreme blue bolts, the fish bones, and they're not shown on the site yet because I'm waiting for the fry to grow up. But my fancy red tigers, they're all homebred.
Oh, do you mind if I ask, how do I do it so only people that are subbed can talk?
That's so you have to go to your YouTube thing, where you click the button to add a video. You have to go in there. It's complicated. I can talk to you after stream about it.
Oh my God, look at that awesome blue bolt.
Yeah. I got my original 5 shrimp. I bought them from Motor City Aquatics when he was still Detroit Shrimp. And he sent me 5 of them. I got the veterans discount.
Oh, that's awesome.
Those things have just exploded in my tank. And of course, I love blue, so they're beautiful.
Well, thank you for your service too. That's awesome.
Hey, no problem.
My dad was in the Army.
I got to go to the Army and play drums.
Oh, well, that's even better. My dad got to be drafted and freeze in Alaska.
Oh.
but he preferred being in Alaska than Vietnam.
You can see on the Neos, they went fast. Out of stock of the orange, out of stock of the blues, and the fire reds are the ones that after this week they'll be out of stock too.
Well, that's kind of a bummer.
Not for me, trust me. I'm going to get some more in and get them going. I mean, that's the whole point, and that's kind of why I had such a push at the beginning of the week, was because I'm working really hard. My supplier is working me a great deal, but it's all hinged upon how fast I could flip these. Once I flip these and get them going and out of my tanks, then I'm going to be able to expand the number of strains I have and really focus on my breeding and be set for stuff that I can also still sell. Because if I can, I'm going to go as much homebred as possible, but just ask Flip Aquatics and anybody else. That's virtually impossible to keep up because they just don't breed fast enough. Unless I have like 10 tanks of each colony or of each strain.
Well, now I've got a question about these orange eyes. Does that mean they're blind?
No.
Oh, I've been told that was blindness, but I wasn't for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I'm not sure who did it, but I saw somebody do a video on it that was saying that was a myth, that they're not blind just because they have orange eyes.
You know, it might have been Mark, because I think I remember the video, and then I was like, oh, well, maybe I need to ask to make sure I know for sure if they're blind or not.
Yeah, so if my answer is incorrect, I heard it from Mark.
That works. And I don't despise him or anything. I still enjoy his show. I just don't go with as much frequency.
Well, I think he stopped streaming for a while because he had internet issues and blah, blah, blah. And today was like his first test stream trying to get back into it.
I had a really fun day watching streams today. I missed out on the Saturday morning cartoons, but I caught Jimmy. I missed Jimmy P. I got to see Jenna P. I saw a lot of P today. Let's see. And Mike was next, but I went and I got ready, so I didn't get to see much of Mike. Bummer. Sorry, Mike.
No, it's like the Shadow Panda Caradinas. I want to have, tons of those, but I really want to breed them out too, because I know you can get some really cool patterns and colors off of them. Like I said, anything blue is like my favorite.
And that's 5 for $50. So that's not $50 a piece, right?
Right. That is 5 times 5. Yeah.
So basically, you're getting a nice starter group. And then if you wanted a really good colony, I would spend $100 and get 10.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Thanks, Ed. I like you. You're hired.
Someone asked if zeolite would work the same as the Purigen in the bags.
I'm not sure because I've never used either. I've just seen it in my bags. Okay. And Joe last week, that's what he was talking about was Purigen. And okay, well, I got to buy some, I guess, and try it. But kind of want to see how it works right now because in the end, anything you do, there's a cost added to it. And so at my stage of the business right now, I have to be really careful on all of that. Any little bit that I do, because I've learned in past situations that if you don't take all of that into account, you start looking at the numbers and the quote unquote profit isn't really profit because you didn't account for all of the extra expenditures that are required within the shipping process. So full transparency, I charge a $20 flat rate shipping, and it comes out on a medium box at $16.25 at the post office. That $3.75 is what I use to cover the foam, the paper, the packaging, heat pack, or any of that stuff, the bags. And I figure that's, I'm just being totally honest because that way there is a cost to it. Now, maybe if you're a bigger company and you buy 10,000 bags at a time, yeah, you can afford, $15 flat rate.
For sure.
Let's see.
I wish they would make that easier for everybody.
It'd be nice.
A flat rate.
Yes. And I think we'll get there. I think we're getting there. More and more, we're all learning together as consumers and as vendors. So I think that's the really cool part about the fish fam, is that I haven't seen too many that are, oh, you messed me over. You screwed me over. This $20 order I made with you didn't get here in 5 minutes. And it's terrible, terrible. Well, you don't see that too much. Most everybody they know. I mean, if anybody, I just opened my store online. So give me a shot. Let me practice. I'm probably going to make some mistakes. I ain't going to lie. I'm not perfect. So I'll make those mistakes, but we'll work it out together. There is no issue with any mistakes that I make. I'll back my work 100%. So, and if I can't, then I'll fix it.
That's awesome. Well, you know what? We're past 9 o'clock.
Oh,
I want to congratulate Bob on his bringing home a brand new son today. Congratulations. That's awesome. That's super cool.
woo.
So, Bob, does he have a name? That's the big question. If not, Nico is available as a name. Just throwing that out there.
You can call him Baby Shrimp.
That's pretty good. Shrimpy Baby. Boy, that'd be terrible in high school to be named Baby Shrimp as a boy.
Right?
Unless he grew to be like 310 pounds and 6'6".
Well,
And
it
then
works
he'd
the same
definitely
way
be a
when
good
you're
shrimp.
52 years old. Then you have some guy with the red beard telling you, I feel comfortable calling you Papa.
It's whenever I call you Papa Shrimp, I'm thinking Papa Smurf, and I'm so afraid to say that. I'm just terrible afraid of saying that.
It happens.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was like just doing kind of a shout out of people at Aquashella while I was up on the live stream, and I went Papa Shrimp.
Yeah, that was funny.
Oh my gosh. Oh, such a bad hiccup, and it happens a lot, unfortunately.
Everyone hide your man. Dee Dee is here.
Uh-oh.
That's what Matt said.
Well, 503 will fight her for them all, I bet. They have a great show too, guys. Check them out. But, well, thank you so much for coming up.
Thank you for having me.
Man, and I don't know if I got all my questions answered or not, but
you can always hit me up, Ed. We'll talk.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it a lot. Oh, thank you for changing the screen back, Lefty.
You're welcome.
See, I'm not the button guy.
Thanks for coming up, Lefty.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
And yeah, thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Lefty. You guys were awesome. And thank you, everybody, for the super chats. I really appreciate it a lot. And thank you for everybody that came and had fun. The mods, you guys were great. I got hosed by a guy, and I didn't even realize it, and you shut him down so fast. That's awesome. And so we'll put it in the books, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye, guys. Oh, I have to hit the stop button.